fucked up planet we live on sometimes, yeah? I mean, what a wild system that we have, that today the news, and yeah, suckers, I reeled you in with a Loki thumbnail, and we will talk about that, but not at the top. What a insane world that today, on Wednesday, June 30th, 2021, the news is that Bill Cosby is getting out of prison because of a technicality. How are we supposed to request and ask that people trust in a system in which that's the system? How? This is wild. This is wild. And it's just nuts. I'm going to be talking about the Bill Cosby story today, obviously, and what exactly took place there. And then a story that we haven't spoken about in a long time. You guys know I watched the NXIVM doc. I felt sick about Raniere and all the things he had done. And Allison Mack officially was sentenced today. So I guess it's a prison kind of day on this show, or a leaving prison kind of day. So Bill Cosby's being released. Allison Mack is going to prison. And most importantly, folks, sense the sarcasm, Loki had a sick episode 4. So we will end with some fuck yeah news. But I also don't want to give spoilers at the top of the show. So we're going to talk about some real world shit to start off the show here today. And then we will transition into some nerd stuff. Y'all know this is a roller coaster. We're down for the ride. This is just... It's just that. It is what it is. So questions, comments, concerns, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. As we go through all of this stuff that might be very sensitive for some of you guys, might hit home for some of you guys. And I'm here. I'm ready to talk about it. And I'm going to start with some Streamlabs before we get into this Bill Cosby story. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Glenn Caesar started us off saying, hello and happy World Girl Wednesday, Roxy, and all your nicknames. How are you? Just sending well wishes and a thank you for taking the time to hang out. Peace, bunnies, hugs, and good stuff to you, Grammy and Papo. Be most excellent to yourselves, Roxy, Rockstar's band, and world friends. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate you, honey. Glenn also said, bunnies for Avery Burke. Oh, I appreciate that you always do that. And Avery's mom, rest in peace, Chris Burke. #3 Rockstars forever. Yes, Smets, and let's go. Everyone fighting smash cancer. I stand against anti-Semitism. I stand against Islamophobia. I stand against Asian hate. #stop AAPI hate. I know that Black Lives Matter. #BLM. All important things to say every single show, including this one. Miles Cosgrove, Brett Hankerson, Jonathan Mattingly, arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor, all 3 of them for killing Breonna Taylor. Hope today is the day. Justice for all the people who've lost their lives due to excessive force. #say their names. Hey, if we can have Bill Cosby leave prison, you would think that we could have Miles, Brett, and Jonathan fucking arrested. But this is the world that we live in. Jake Yacovetta in the streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer said, not sure when you're going to go into the Cosby news. Jake, you know me too well to think that I was going to wait on that one. But Felicia Rashad can fuck all the way off. Yeah, her tweet was one of the most egregious tweets I've ever seen in my life. I have it screenshotted. Obviously, we'll be talking about that on the show. Saying, quote, finally, a terrible wrong is being righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected. Well, that's literally what the tweet said. But yes, we'll talk about that. Fuck friendship. Never defend sexual assaulters. I was shocked by her tweet. It feels like she just committed career suicide, but shocked for so many reasons. And then she had a follow-up tweet that was just like, what? Glenn Caesar in the streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer says, okay, I gotta quote the rapper E40 on this one. Loki episode 4. Yup. Can I get any more hyped for episode 5 and 6? Nope. Is the MCU on flame? Yup. LOL. Question. OSA show with you and DJ tomorrow? It was in the OSA Discord. Permanent move or no? We're supposed to be doing the show on Friday, so I don't know what you're talking about, but let me know, Glenn. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me know. And yep, let me know. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Again, I know we are talking about something that is very near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, a very sensitive situation. And unfortunately, I'm not very good about beating around the bush on this kind of thing. So hopefully we're in this together. There's a lot of people who are wrongfully in prison. There's a lot of people, especially people of color, who are wrongfully in prison. People who have been accused and convicted of things that they did not do. People who have been accused and convicted of things that they did do, but should never have served the time they did, such as cannabis-related things. And then there are people who drug and rape women, many women, and are sentenced to prison and have enough money and power and resources to get that decision overturned. And the fact that that's our system is so fucking disgusting that there can be no trust in the system. I know, innocent until proven guilty. Okay, so he was proven guilty. And the reasons that he's getting out, which I'll explain in case you guys have not been paying attention to the news or haven't had time to look into this today, are so upsetting and disgusting. And none of those reasons are he didn't do it. Yet they ask for our patience and our trust and our faith. They ask us to subscribe to a system in which a man who drugs and rapes women can be released after 2 years because of a reason other than new evidence showing that he didn't do it. How are we supposed to say, but yup, you've got us, totally. Keep doing what you're doing. So for those of you guys, again, who have not had the chance to look into this, when I heard that Bill Cosby was possibly getting released as soon as today, I was like, how the fuck? Somebody explain to me how the fuck that's possible. So I watched every single fucking news clip on this I could find. And there seems to be two main reasons that he is able to get released after 2 years. Number one, apparently he had made some kind of agreement with the DA. An agreement that Bill Cosby was going to admit guilt in a civil case. And then that deposition was supposed to be sealed and was never supposed to be allowed to be used in a criminal case. Now, that agreement with the DA is not in writing. However, apparently it took place. And so in the criminal trial, they used that deposition. And that deposition was not supposed to be allowed to be used based on what the agreement with the DA was. And so at this point, Cosby's attorneys have proved that that deposition was not supposed to be allowed to be heard in the criminal case, only in the civil case, and that the deposition was supposed to be sealed. So that's part one. Part two is that Cosby's team is claiming that additional women were not supposed to be allowed to testify. So although we heard dozens of women come out and say that this is what had happened to them, they'd been drugged and raped by Cosby. In the actual trial, there's one woman who this criminal trial was with, and I had forgotten that that was the case. I thought that there was many women involved in the trial. It was one woman, and then there were 5 additional women that were being used by lawyers fighting against Cosby to prove that this was a pattern. So they were bringing those other 5 women who also had experiences with Cosby where he had drugged and raped them, and they were bringing those women in to establish a history, a pattern. But that is a huge part of why Cosby was sentenced, because there were so many women. And what Cosby's team was proving was that he was sentenced based on multiple women, not just the one woman who was claiming this. And by claiming this, I mean who it happened to. And so those two pieces, the deposition that was supposed to be sealed and the other women who testified who it wasn't their case, with those two things combined, the decision to sentence him, I think he was sentenced to 10 years or 15 years, was overturned today. And that is why he can be released as soon as today. So that is how Bill Cosby is now going to be a free man. Now, 50% of the shows that I was watching, and I was watching everything from like ABC, NBC, Fox, like all the news stations to figure out what was happening, to random YouTube people talking about this, to lawyers who were speaking about this. And 50% of the people right now are claiming that the state of Pennsylvania will not be allowed to prosecute him again, and that this is the end of this. That's what I was watching. Kevin Clancy from Barstool was talking about this as well. He does these things. I know that Barstool is a very controversial brand, but he does these 1 minute things that are kind of like what I like in yoga to dummies. And in case you're ever looking for a quick bite on what's going on with something, I will say he does a really good job of succinctly just explaining what a situation is. And he and a bunch of other people were saying that Pennsylvania will never be allowed to then prosecute Bill Cosby again for this crime because it's been overturned. But then I was listening on, what was the news station? The most recent news station that I was just listening to, which was, already pulled up, as the Allison Mack case. Bill Cosby, I think it was NBC News, where a lawyer was saying that he actually they would be able to prosecute him again because of the amount of victims, and that there would be a possibility that they could go through a trial again. So I'm not sure what the situation is for that. I'm obviously not a lawyer, and people seem to have different opinions on that currently. That will come to light in the next coming days, I'm sure, on what is going to happen. We know that specific deposition, that testimony that he gave, will not be able to be used again. But whether or not he will be able to be prosecuted is still up for interpretation. At least that's what a few different lawyers were saying. So we will see what takes place there. I'll keep you guys updated. It sounds to me, just using the logic, just trying to use logic, that they won't be able to prosecute him for this again unless there is another woman coming forward in another criminal case, but with the statute of limitation, I don't know that would be possible. So it just is looking like Bill Cosby is going to be a free man. And there are a couple of things about this that are really, really dangerous. Number one, the fact that Bill Cosby is a free man. That's dangerous within itself. This is a man who drugs and rapes women. Do I think at this point in his life he's going to be able to accomplish that? No, I don't. I think that his drugging and raping days are over. I don't know that he is the threat that he once was, especially because he's going to be so watched. But that somebody that you don't typically want on the street. Number two, this is something that doesn't happen often. It is very rare that a decision like this is overturned when somebody is serving a sentence. And of course, the big, rich, famous people who are in prison for similar things are going to be looking for loopholes for depositions they gave that they were told weren't going to be able to use against them, or for all the women that came forward in their cases that weren't the specific ones that were suing them. Excuse me for that big, loud noise in your ear. You'd think I'd been broadcasting for a day after doing that. It just got stuck. It happens. The Harvey Weinsteins of the world. When a judge sets precedent, like was just set, new cases open up, and people are going to try to do what Bill Cosby just did. And the people who are going to try to do that are rich people, famous people. And that's fucking scary. It also shows people at home that the system doesn't work the same for everybody, and that money matters and fame matters. And if you have enough loopholes in something or enough money to figure something out, then you are above the law, which is a really fucking scary concept. There's a couple other things about this that I want to get to, but I want to talk to you guys because I know you have thoughts on this as well. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Super chat in as well. I would love to hear from all of you. Lloyd Nance says, hi, Roxy. Love you. Love you too, Lloyd Nance. Thanks for being here, honey. Where are you right now, Lloyd? We miss you. Apollo 3JP in the Streamlabs says, fam, how the fuck are you? 4th of July weekend. What's the plan? Hope you're having a solid week and crushing your goals. Let's fucking go. Side note, Cosby, the fuck? Yeah, it's not a side note. It's the whole note, Apollo. Apollo also says, sent that before you went into your initial thoughts. That said, preach, girl. Let's party this weekend. Fuck the system. Go on with your bad self, Apollo. But yeah, this is just, it's a lot. It's a lot. And streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, super chat in your questions, comments, concerns, thoughts on the situation. Now, going back to what Jake was talking about before, this was so upsetting to see. Felicia Rashad tweeted out a picture of Bill Cosby. This is the photo that she tweeted, and wrote on it in all capital letters with 4 exclamation points. Finally, a terrible wrong is being righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected. It's just egregious. What an unfortunate fucking thing that she just did. She tweeted that 3 hours ago. 44 minutes ago, she tweeted again, and she said, I fully support survivors of sexual assault coming forward. My post was in no way intended to be insensitive to their truth. Personally, I know from friends and family that such abuse has lifelong residual effects. My heartfelt wish is for their healing. What? How did you, how can you say that it was a terrible wrong that's being righted with Bill Cosby coming out of prison, but then say that your wish is for their healing and that your post was in no way intended to be insensitive to their truth? Also, this is the problem, and I'm surprised that she tweeted this because it's such a Gen Z millennial statement to say when she says insensitive to their truth. I know that my generation and the generation below me has this whole concept of their truth. And in every situation, there's 3 stories. There's person A's story, person B's story, and then the story that's somewhere in between. When someone is drugged and raped, to call it their truth, even that is so fucking insensitive. It's not their truth. It's the truth. Sometimes in life, there only is one truth. And that's the truth. And to say, I understand because it's their truth and I wasn't being insensitive to that, is almost like calling them crazy. Like, she's not trying to be insensitive to their truth and she wishes for their healing. Her apology was not an apology because she doesn't use the word sorry. So it's definitely not an apology. It's also not the truth to say I fully support survivors of sexual assault coming forward. But you don't. Now, to be clear, there's one person in this situation who is in the wrong above all of the other people. And it's Bill Cosby. So the heat that Felicia Rashad's going to receive for this tweet is unfortunate because it all takes the center stage from Cosby. For something like this, he should be at center stage. He's the fucking one who did this. So all eyes need to be on him. She is just saying something really fucking ignorant and stupid right now. And wrong. But she also didn't drug or rape anybody. And the heat that she's receiving is justified because what the fuck? But this is such a trending story right now with her that I'm concerned people get distracted from the actual problem, which is that he's being released. Fucking you. Questions, comments, concerns, any thoughts on the Bill Cosby situation? Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. I would love to hear from you guys about this. That's how I feel. Some of the people on her, like the main tweet, it's the only people now who can reply are people that she follows. But on her apology, which is really not an apology, anybody can reply. And the first reply on there is from somebody not Lindsay Lohan. How can you support sexual assault survivors when you're happy? When you're happy, a serial date rapist got freed. Makes sense when you talking. Yeah, it's just woof. But then K. Diddy says, no explanation needed, ma'am. Those that are mad, let them continue to be mad. Heart. It's like, I don't know if this was a movement she wanted to start, but she did. And that is certainly unfortunate. Yeah, just fucking awful. We'll continue to talk about Cosby on this show. If you guys have any other things that you want to add, feel free to. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. I also want to talk about another prison situation, though, with Allison Mack of Smallville, who was sentenced to 3 years today for the Nexium scandal. I actually take that back. I know that the word scandal is not the right word to use. That was insensitive of me. The Nexium, I guess, trial. Scandal makes it sound like somebody did something scandalous. These are people's lives. It's not a scandal. It's a fucking horrific incident that took place. And yes, I too misspeak sometimes. So the Nexium situation, the Nexium trial, where we were watching what happened with this sex cult that Keith Raniere started under the guise of being a woman empowerment situation. If you didn't watch the doc, what the fuck was it called? Do you guys remember? It was so disturbing. It was on HBO. It was like an 8-part series, and it was not called Nexium. I forget what it was called, but it was really, really wild. And it destroyed a lot of people's lives. And to the right hand of Keith Raniere was Allison Mack. The Vow. Thank you, Brittany Parker. Allison Mack, to me, this is how I relate this. Obviously, these cases are a lot more nuanced than what I'm about to say, but just for the people who didn't watch, Ghislaine Maxwell is to Jeffrey Epstein what Allison Mack was to Keith Raniere. She was at the core of everything. When we found out that people were being branded, Allison Mack was a part of the whole situation. And then I believe her initials were being branded on people's vaginas, and just the whole, she had legitimate slaves, and branded people and essentially sold them into sex work. And it was fucking awful. And she gets 3 years. Now, a lot of people were saying that her lawyers were trying to make the case that she was legitimately remorseful. She was on the path to getting out. And also, I think it was like a $20,000 fine or something. And that she should have gotten less time. But all the people who testified against her, whose lives had been fucking demoed by NXIVM, all wanted her to receive the maximum sentence, it seemed. And to me, 3 years is not even close to enough time when you do what she did. My one caveat for this is that in some ways, I hope I don't get heat for this, but it seemed to me, and this is based on watching the doc and interviews with a lot of the NXIVM survivors and victims, is that it did seem to me like Allison Mack also, in some ways, had been a victim. Now, we know that hurt people, and we know that she was at the helm of this and was a leader. But she was not Keith Raniere, who was the originator of this. I do think she was partially brainwashed, and it is so fucked up. It's so fucked up what she did. A lot of the survivors said that they felt like she was legitimately remorseful for what she had done. And, you know, I think that is the point, that there can be redemption for people. Wasn't that what it's, I think it's called Nexium, right? Joseph Ashley said that's one of my medications. Isn't that what it was called? Is it Nexium or what was the name of the I think it was called Nexium, but I think it's NXIVM, Nexium, but pronounced Nexium. Yeah. So CNN says Allison Mack, former Smallville actress and high-ranking member of the cult-like group Nexium, was sentenced to 3 years in prison on Wednesday. Mack is required to have 3 years of supervised release after serving her prison term and has to pay a $20,000 fine. In Mack's letter, which was submitted as part of the sentencing memorandum filed Friday, she apologized to people she had harmed by her actions. Quote, "I'm sorry to those of you that I brought into NXIVM. I'm sorry I ever exposed you to the nefarious and emotionally abusive schemes of a twisted man." So she was brought in too, though. And I'm not justifying what she did. It's fucking horrible. And I think she probably should have received more time. At the end of the day, Keith Raniere can go fucking eat a bag of fucking dildos and choke on them. Mack was arrested in 2018 along with several other NXIVM leaders, including Keith Raniere, who was convicted of racketeering charges and sentenced last year to 120 years in prison. She pleaded guilty to racketeering and racketeering conspiracy charges 1 month before Raniere's 2019 trial was set to begin. Sentencing guidelines recommended a range of 14 to 17 and a half years in prison for Mack. Prosecutors had asked the U.S. District Judge Nicholas Garoufis to give her below the recommended range because of substantial assistance she gave the government in the investigation and prosecution of others. They said in a court filing, Mack's attorney had asked for her to receive no prison time. Garoufis called Mack an essential accomplice and a willing and proactive ally of Raniere, but also said, "I don't doubt that you were manipulated and also felt captive." It's kind of exactly what I was trying to say. He said he granted the prosecutor's request for a lesser sentence, but wanted to impose a sentence that would still be fair to the seriousness of the crime and to deter others from doing anything similar. CNN has reached out to Mack's attorney for a comment on the sentence. NXIVM was a company in Albany, New York that touted self-help classes, as I told you guys. So this we know. Oof. Yuck. Fucking yuck. Yuck. So a lot of prison talk today on Live at the Roxy. Who knew that Loki episode 4 would, our review would start with all this prison talk. But this is what's happening in the world, and we cannot bury our heads in the sand, as I tell you guys all the time. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to talk about in regards to Bill Cosby, Allison Mack, or, of course, Loki, which we will be talking about momentarily, as it seems like you guys have tapped out on how much you want to talk about these fucking horrible situations, which I understand. Sometimes we need to just be a little more entertained. Shout out to everybody who's in here live watching. For those of you guys who can give support in the Streamlabs and Super Chat, I so appreciate it. For those of you guys who can't, just show up to watch and support in that way. I so appreciate you guys as well. John Perillo, James Dean, dope name, John Get Bent, Third Turd, Almo Cease, Travis Brown, Manny Gonzalez, Rob Fishbeck, Ryan Payne, Bruce Banner, Joseph Ashley, Redford Reddington, Ben Holmes, to Stormy Woods, Brittany Parker, Glenn Caesar, Redford Reddington, Andrew W., Dark Jedi Knight, Abdul Mahid Awadaha, and everybody else who is in here. Keep scrolling. Much love to all of you guys. Appreciate you, Motorola, and everybody, Malcolm, who are joining us today live on the show to talk about all of these things that are not easy to fucking talk about. Jeremy Knowles, Zeno Hour, Katie Robinson, NL Saqib Ryan. Sorry that I butcher names for a living. And all of the people. Thank you guys for being here. Really, really appreciate it. Going back into the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar to see what it is that you guys are talking about before we get into this Loki discussion. Glenn Caesar said, DJ said, hit me with Loki questions you'd like us to answer for tomorrow's review. DJ later said, I totally whiffed it. Forgot to include them. Roxy and I will answer them on the next OSA show. Maybe he meant the unedited review and I misunderstood. Anyhow, I don't know. I don't know. Katie the Good Witch in the streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider said, criminal trials are wild. In high school, I testified against the man who assaulted me, and it was extremely clinical and procedural, and I was barely even involved. He was acquitted. It was an extremely bizarre experience. Wow. Yeah, this is why a lot of people don't want to come forward, because you can have all of the things that you need, and still somebody could be free. And it's like fucking awful to go through. Awful. Katie, I'm so sorry you had that experience. So many of your experiences. Glenn Caesar in the Streamlabs says, thanks, Roxy, and everyone who chooses to for showing up for people that need it and want it and giving your support whenever, however you can. That's cool. The sound of your song of life won't be forgotten. Remember to always be easy on yourselves and fly free. You're fully unique. You're kind. You're caring. Being so unselfishly supportive and loving of others, including strangers, whether it's on the internet or not, makes you humane and worthy. You're a healing medicine or a soothing ointment for a wound. I gotta say, the word ointment is maybe not my favorite word. Your story is important and deserves to be seen and heard. And do your best to see and hear those around you who aren't like you, would still appreciate being seen and heard, even if they're silent about it and just waiting. May we be sons. Thanks, Glenn, for all of this always. You are a dear, and we appreciate you. And we should be sons. Oh, and then he says, shining extraordinarily bright so that we can see what's all around us as well as be seen by those who are in a fog, but who are searching for that luminous spark as they are trying to make through the clouds and can't quite see as clearly. Glenn, yes to all of that. Then Glenn says, cheers to finding fuck yeah news. Loki. What brings us smiles and laughter, joy and bliss in each of our days or weeks or months and even our years, so that we can all glow in the flow like little inextinguishable. Wow, inextinguishable is a long ass word. Fireballs or stars here on Earth. Who knew an inextinguishable looked like that many letters? Took up 3 lines on this thing. That's not important, but just letting you guys know. Any other questions, comments, concerns about anything we've talked about so far today? Don't forget, you can Streamlabs in at any time. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider, Super Chat. And Bruce Banner says, yeah, ointment is a little sus. Yeah, just like ointment. I feel like that hits me the way that moist hits a lot of women. Like moist. I'm fine with that word, but a lot of women hate it. Ointment. It's just like gooey. Just not even in an ointment kind of place in my life. I'm okay being people's ointment, I guess. Glad you're the best. Thanks for always letting me break down your daily mantras for all of us. Okay. I'm okay with damp too, Rob Fishbeck. I feel like I go in phases where I'm like, I don't love damp or moist, but now, I don't know, ointment seems to be in the top of my list at this exact moment in time. It just does. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Get in questions, comments, concerns. We are going to be transitioning to talking about Loki ASAP. So anything else, get them in now, get them in loud, get them in proud, because we are going to talk about Loki and we are going to give spoilers. We have not done so far because we wanted to make sure that those of you guys who still wanted to talk about the other things, who hadn't seen Loki yet, could be here. But now we are going to be talking about Loki. So anybody who has not seen Loki season 1, episode 4, please, I was just going to call it the Nexium event. That's Keith Raniere. The Nexus event, I believe is what it was called. Please get out of here so that you don't get it spoiled, unless you're not planning on watching and then spoiler away. If you guys have comments on Loki, thoughts that you want to talk about, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, super chat in, all of that stuff as well, because Loki spoilers for the Loki episode of season 1, episode 4, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, and here we go. Goodbye to everybody else. Yo, I was surprised by this episode. It's fucking awesome, obviously. It's a great episode. But I thought it was so weird that everybody disliked last week so much, and then all of a sudden they're so back in with this episode. I don't get people. I never know how people are going to feel. I thought people were going to love last week's episode. So when I loved this week's episode, I was like, I'm watching it last night at midnight, get done at 1 a.m. And I was like, wow, that episode was fucking fire. I doubt people are going to like it because they don't seem to like anything I like. And then I woke up this morning to everybody being like, that was the best episode of Loki yet. And I was like, I don't get you guys. I don't get you guys. I never know how anybody's going to feel about things. So anyway, I was on the same page as the internet for once. I loved this episode. It was really a great combination of everything that we want Loki to be. It was a Marvel episode of a show, of a character that we love to hate, but also really love to love. That included a lot more of Mobius, which I think was a lot of people's problem with the last week episode. But we still got more explanation on what was going on with Loki and Lady Loki, aka Sylvie, who just is Sylvie, but I'm going to keep calling Lady Loki. And we finally started getting some answers about the TVA. So for all of the reasons, it just was a really great combo of like some action, some mind fucks, a lot of lies coming to light, some twists where we're the people who are getting things revealed to, some things that we already have been revealed and characters are the ones who are getting it revealed. So tonally speaking, this episode just crushed. It was everything that you want a Loki episode to be. And I couldn't have been more down for it. I'm going to go through some individual things that I really liked and some questions, but also I want to hear from you guys. So get in your Streamlabs and your super chats. Andrew Thomas says, hey, Sexy Roxy, episode 4 of Loki was great. I am a Loki/Sylvie shipper and bummed that Owen Wilson died. No way he's dead. I mean, I get it. He was pruned, but I have theories about all the pruning and stuff that we can kind of break down. I am a shipper of Loki and Sylvie as well. And I know that makes us narcissists. And I know that we want somebody to hook up with themselves. And I know that a lot of people think that it's not about that. And it's just about love and not being in love. But to me, I'm a lover of love, a shipper of ships. Let's get it on. That's what I want. Dark Jedi Knight in the super chat says, Loki's feelings for Sylvie aren't narcissism. She's different enough from Loki. She's her own person, and their love almost broke time. I know. So that shit was crazy. That shit was crazy to me. But yeah, let's break some of this down. Let's go through. I take some notes during the episode sometimes because I there's shit that I really want to say. And then when I go back in the mornings, I tell you guys I watch the Real Rejects and I watch heavy spoilers, and sometimes I'll watch Dan Murrell, and there's a lot of different people I like to hear their breakdowns and thoughts on it just because I'm a super fan of Loki and of Marvel. So I like to know what people are saying. And so before I hear what people are saying, I'd like to type in my own things so I can see like what are my predictions and my thoughts compared to other people's. And so it always comes out in such hodgepodge. But This says, what makes a Loki, destined to lose versus, he says, survivor. I love this part of the episode. I love thinking about, even if we're variants of each other, what makes a Loki a Loki? So if somebody was a variant of Roxy, what at my core, what makes a Roxy a Roxy? And when you're down on your luck and you feel fucking defeated, I understand why Sylvie says that they're destined to lose. That's what makes a Loki. But when we look at it, would you guys say that what makes a Loki is somebody who's destined to lose? I don't think so at all. And I don't think that's the point of this series. And so when he says that they're survivors, it also kind of reminded me of the same conversation that they had last week about love. What is love? And I think that they have two different viewpoints on the world and are in two different phases of their lives. And even though they're variants of each other, they're not the same. They're completely different take based on nurture. So I think that was a really interesting conversation, and they're survivors. And what we watch here is them survive even when they're dying. And yes, I saw the mid-credit scene, and we will break that down as well. But I like that. And then they're so in love, or at least in that moment, they're so much love, and they don't feel alone for the first time in so long that it actually alerts the TVA with a Nexus event. That's the fucking kind of love I want. Alert the TVA. Me and my person are fucking in love, and our love is so big that me loving myself, or whatever the fuck it is, can cause a fucking whole fuck up in the timeline. Oh, what kind of love is better than that? It's pretty fucking awesome. I like that when I watch most reviewers, they're like, and actually what's happening here? And I'm like, their fucking love is sick, bro. Light up the city. That's fuck. That's how I feel. I like the memory prison with Sif. That was cool to see. I like we're repeating the same thing. And like, I do like the fact that I feel like Loki can feel and change and empathize and grow. And at first he's just feeling the same thing, but finally he's regretting things that he's done. And that's kind of a moment that we've been waiting for with Loki. And we've seen happen in the past, but this one seems like maybe it's going to stick a little bit. I also really love his way of letting Mobius know that the TVA is lying to him. And we can see that Mobius doesn't, even though he dismisses it, he questions it because he's too smart to not, and things are starting to click, and he's seen some things and been denied some things that just don't make any fucking sense. And so I like that it didn't take him that long. Usually things like this, if it's like 24 episodes or whatever, then Mobius would not have believed Loki even enough to go through the hoops he did for at least like 6 more episodes. And like, we just don't want that. We don't want to spend 6 episodes of Mobius being convinced by Loki. No, you have to trust me. Check this thing out. Do this thing. No, just no. Renslayer's a sick ass character, y'all. Renslayer is sick. Renslayer not letting Mobius speak to Sylvie, savage. And everything that she does, savage. I don't know. I know we like hate her, but I also don't hate her. Because, whoa, there's a lot fucking going on there. A lot fucking going on there. How do you guys feel about Renslayer? How are you guys feeling about her? I'm torn. And then like Hunter B15, who I was not digging in this episode, I was totally digging because sometimes we're wrong in life. And Hunter B15, you were wrong. And now you've been proven that. Travis Brown says, wait, rewind. What? Rewind what? Rewind on what? Ben Holmes says, I got a big crush on Renslayer. Emil says Renslayer is the secret boss of everything. Interesting. Bruce Banner says, I don't know about her. Jet says, I absolutely hate her. Rob Fishbeck says, I wonder if she's working for whoever's actually in charge of another variant that is brainwashed. Yeah, because when we see Sylvie's childhood and we see that Renslayer like could have not. She could have pruned her, but she does kind of let her go, and then she gets let go. I don't know. It's almost like she's scratching people's backs, but she's also awful. I don't know. It's just hard to say at this point what exactly I feel about her. But she's a very, very good actress. Holy shit. She brings a lot to the table. And same with Hunter B15 for sure. Yeah. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, super chat in. How are you guys feeling about this episode? Questions, comments, concerns, get them in. So then talking about the timekeepers, obviously there's that whole big massive scene with them, and we behead one of them and know that they're these like animatronics or whatever it is. A lot of channels are theorizing, and I've been talking about this from the beginning, from the second Heavy Spoiler said this, that Kang is really the one that's running all this shit. He's already been cast. It makes a lot of sense, and that's really what's going on here. But last time when we did this whole thing where on WandaVision, all I said was Mephisto, 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 Mephisto. It was like, then when it's not Mephisto, everybody's let down. So I'm trying not to be like Kang, 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 because we just don't know. So we just don't know. But that's what a lot of people think is going on. Mobius says Sylvie is pruned. Loki nailed this scene, is my next note. When Mobius is lying and says that Sylvie is pruned, and Loki's like, good, I don't care. Good riddance. But you can tell just Tom Hiddleston is so good. That scene was awesome. I think that Mobius was smart and badass in that scene. I think that Tom Hiddleston, I think Loki played that perfectly, but he couldn't hide it all inside, and he let himself show a little bit here. And yeah, this was a really good moment between the two of them. Mobius with the jet skis. What's going on with the jet ski situation? What's up with the jet ski situation? Mobius being pruned, gut-wrenching, but we know there's no way because it's not a no-name. So when you get an actor like Owen Wilson, this ain't goodbye. No frickin' way. Do you guys think that Renslayer, all my notes here all over the place, love the roller coaster. Do you guys think that Renslayer pretends to not know Sylvie's Nexus event? Because we know Renslayer is obviously a liar. So when Sylvie asks, what's my Nexus event? Do you think that Renslayer doesn't know what it is? Or you think that she does know and claims that she doesn't remember? I'm kind of curious about that. I'd like to know. Yeah, y'all are obsessed with the jet ski too. Legoland says, get Mobius a jet ski. That's what I'm saying. Man deserves a jet ski. He deserves a jet ski. That's the truth. Mobius will get a jet ski at the end, says Robert Turner. Yeah. Ben Holmes says, I think she doesn't know, legit. Almosi says, interesting. John Baber says, I think she's lying. I feel 50-50. It's possible she knows, but if she doesn't, that's so much more painful. You don't even remember what it was that destroyed my whole life, and you don't even fucking remember. That hurts. But if she does know, then there's something more to it, and we're going to be hearing about that in a little bit. Renslayer be a beast. A lot of these people are. I'm loving the performances on this show. It is perfectly cast, which is very, very lucky. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Getting your questions, comments, concerns, as we're not here for much longer. Loki pruned. This is what it says here. Loki pruned. Alligator Loki, Kid Loki, one holding hammer, old Loki. Those are what my final notes are. So Loki's pruned, but then in the mid-credits or post-credit, we wake up and he's going to be dead if he doesn't come with them. And it's 4 different Loki variants. One of them's an alligator, which a lot of people think is a reference to the frog from the comics, which I don't know anything about, but heard about on all the different YouTube channels I watched. One is Kid Loki. One is Loki holding the hammer, meaning that like that's the worthy Loki, like Thor. And one's old Loki, who is Richard E. Grant. Loki. Because that hair though, and my lack of realizing it was him until, I hope I'm right on this. I think the internet told me, and I was like, no fucking way. That's crazy. Yeah. Like, whoa. Original Loki, OG Loki, Richard E. G. Loki. What kind of fucking caliber of actors can Marvel get? Any caliber. Beast City, bitch. Beast City, bitch. So those are all the Lokis, and he's got to go with them. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck does this even mean? Episode 5 can't come soon enough. Need more. Bring it on. Loki me up. But also, I need Sylvie back. I love me some Sylvie. What's happening with Sylvie right now? We really don't even know. All right, I am getting out of here in the next couple minutes. So streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. That lack of Streamlabs support, though. Brute City. Everything's something city today. Everything is something city. But I appreciate all of you guys for being in here anyway, just so we could talk a little bit about Loki and the other shit that we fucking talked about during this show today, which was rough as hell. Let's see what you guys are talking about in the comments. Ben Holmes says, even the C-level shows have top-tier talent. I know. It's wild. It is totally, totally effing crazy. That, like, this is a random-ass Marvel show. This is not even, it's not Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is a Loki show. Richard E. Grant. Did you guys know he was going to be in this? Did I miss that? Just must have. Glenn Caesar in the Streamlabs says, Roxy, since you're not a fan of the word ointment, sorry for making you say it again. It just doesn't have the right energy for you. I get it. I'll change it to salve or balm. What's salve? I like balm. Be a better word. Still sound good and feel right to you. Let me know. Yeah, I like balm. It's like a lip balm. And she's the bomb. I know it's spelled differently, but every time I hear that, I think, bitch, I'm the bomb. Like, tick, tick. Kevin Samuel says, thank God this high-value man is free. What are you talking about? This high-value man. Richard E. Grant? You think he's doing it for free? No way. Somebody let me know. Ben Holm, not going to lie, I love how most of the Loki cast is British too. Yeah, that's kind of cool as well. I'm with you. Can't wait to see the Hiddleston banner with Richard E. Grant. Almost sees yes to that. Oh no, Kevin, you're talking about Cosby. Yeah, I gotta tell you, Kevin, we not your people. We're not with you on this one. We're not the people on the same page as you. The rock stars are not happy that Cosby is free. It's a bummer, Kevin, because I thought you were contributing to the Loki conversation, but you were standing up for a man who drugs people and rapes them. So that's a bummer. I was trying to be inclusive of all the people that come onto this show that are new. I see new names all the time. And then I try to give shout outs and read what they're saying so they feel one of us. But you're not one of the rock stars because, woof. Bruce Banner says, fam bam, you wild. Straight up. Man, he says, not a good way to end the show, Kevin. Guys, is Kevin the new Karen? We have to question ourselves and ask ourselves this. Damn it, Kevin. Al says, might be a bot. You right. We never know. On that note, let's get the fuck out of here. Thank God we have each other. Just thank God we have each other. Just very important. All right. Let me know if you guys have any final thoughts on any of the things we talked about today. Send in those Streamlabs for tomorrow's show. Don't forget, tonight we are doing a live episode of The World Girls, and in the middle of that, we're premiering our very highly produced Hollywood Tour Bus episode. It is fucking funny and weird. So make sure you check that out. That's at 6, youtube.com/The World Girls. I'm loving what's happening in the chat. Katie Robinson says, LOL, Kevin has been pruned. We pruned Kevin. All right, y'all. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. Check your internet, blow on it, put down the toilet seat and lid down. We don't want those perflumes. Make your bed if you have not already. Don't turn to the Holocaust. Brett Miles, Jonathan, arrested cops who killed Breonna Taylor, all three of them, for killing Breonna Taylor. We miss you, Chris Burke. We love you. May you rest in peace. Kevin, you've been pruned. And hey, don't anybody else, no other rock stars stepping out of line, or y'all be pruned too, including myself. We don't want a pruny bitch. Nobody wants a pruny bitch. Let me get out of here before I fuck this up.